Okay, today we're going to be reviewing quotation marks. Quotations. Quotations are used in dialogues when people are speaking. So we'll see this a lot when we read our articles and somebody gets interviewed and it says, this person said blah, blah, blah. So they're actually speaking something out loud. They're giving their opinion or they're giving some facts. They know something. Or a lot of times in our fictional stories, when two characters are talking back and forth to each other, you see a bunch of quotation marks. So you can see where one character started talking and where they stopped and where the next character began to talk. With quotations, we have a tag, which is the noun and the verb, and the tag always goes outside of the quotation marks. No questions asked. Okay? The tag can be in the beginning, at the end, or in the middle of your quotations. Okay? We also know that quotations have a beginning and an ending quotation mark. They always have a comma and they have a punctuation mark at the end. So a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. Let's begin with the tag at the beginning. Tag at the beginning. The girl said hello. Now remember, the tag is the noun and the verb, and they're always outside of the quotation marks. Okay? Girl is our noun, she's our subject. The verb is said. Saying something is doing something, so it's an action. And what you say out loud always goes inside the parentheses. What you say out loud always goes inside the parentheses. She said hello out loud. Another example is the man yelled stop. The man yelled stop. Man is our noun and yelled is our verb, so these two together make our tag, and that's why it's on the outside of our quotation marks. And what the man said out loud was stop, so that goes inside our quotation marks. When the tag is at the beginning, when the noun and the verb are at the beginning, the comma goes on the outside, and the punctuation mark goes on the inside. The tag is at the beginning, the comma's right here, and the punctuation mark goes on the inside with what was said out loud. The tag is out here on the outside, the comma's with it, and then the punctuation mark is on the inside of the quotation marks with what was said out loud. Next, we're going to talk about tag at the end. So when the tag is at the end of a quotation, things change a little bit. So the tag, as you can remember, is the noun and the verb, and it goes outside of the quotation marks. But this time, what is said out loud starts off our quotation mark. Hello, he said. Hello, he said. Hello is what was said out loud. The tag, he said, our noun and our verb, go on the outside of the quotation marks, and what was said out loud goes inside still. Stop, she yelled. Stop, she yelled. Stop is what was said out loud, so it has to go inside the quotation marks. She is our noun and yelled is our verb, which makes it our tag, and our tag has to go on the outside of the quotation marks. The part that changes when the tag goes at the end is that the comma now is inside with the quotation marks. Inside with what is said out loud, Inside the quotation marks with what was said out loud. And the punctuation mark goes outside with the tag. So for example, you have what was said out loud, hello. Inside the quotation marks, comma inside the quotation marks, he said, period. So you have what was said out loud with a comma inside the quotation marks, and your noun, verb, and punctuation mark on the outside when the tag is at the end. Same thing down here. You have what was said out loud and the comma inside of the quotation marks, and the noun and the verb and the punctuation mark outside of the quotation marks when the tag is at the end. finally, we have the tag in the middle. Now, the tag in the middle is a little bit tricky, but really you're just combining tag at the beginning and tag at the end. Stop, he said. Help me. Okay? So the middle tag is a combination of the beginning and end tag. For example, if I covered this part up, then you could see it says stop. And stop is what was said out loud, and it goes on the inside of the quotation marks. Stop, he said. This looks like our tag at the end. Tag, the noun and the verb, comes at the end of what was said out loud. So the comma goes inside along with what was said out loud, and then we put our tag, the noun and the verb. And then we add our second part. In order to add our second part, we can cover up what was already said to remind ourselves that this looks like the beginning tag, and we have to put another comma right after our tag. Stop, he said. Help me. So in this case, we have what was said out loud and a comma, our tag in the middle, our noun and verb, comma, and then what was said out loud inside new quotation marks with our punctuation mark. You have what was said out loud and a comma inside the first set of quotation marks. And then you add in your tag, the noun and the verb, comma, what was said out loud again, which is help me, and the punctuation mark in the second set of quotation marks. As you can see, the tag is in between the quotation marks. They're outside the quotation marks. It is outside the quotation marks. If you can kind of remember the way that this looks and remember the formula, this should come pretty easy to you. So remember, you always need a beginning and an ending quotation mark. You always need a comma. You always need a punctuation mark. And you always have to have your tag on the outside of the quotations.